Let me tell you something most men will never admit to your face in the bedroom. Every guy has secret desires, things that make him weak, things that make him lose control, things that make him obsessed with you. But here's the twist: most men will never actually tell you what those dirty little fantasies are, not because they don't want them, but because of fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being seen as too much, fear of ruining your image of them as a strong, put-together man. So instead, they keep those desires buried. They won't say them out loud, but if you knew them, if you acted on them, you'd become the woman he can't stop craving. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on what men secretly want you to do in bed but are too afraid to voice. These aren't the cliché things you've heard 1,000 times. These are the subtle, dirty little desires that live in the back of his mind. And when you bring them to life, you won't just turn him on, you'll lock in an intimacy so powerful, he'll never forget you. Now, before we dive in, let me make one thing clear. Intimacy is not about doing everything for him. It's about enjoying the connection, building the spark, and creating an experience that feels electric for both of you. These aren't rulers you have to follow. They're options, powerful tools that, when used with confidence, can transform the way he experiences you. So let's jump in. Here are 6 dirty things men secretly want you to do in bed, but won't say out loud. 1, take control. Just for a moment, here's the truth. Men are expected to lead all the time. Society tells them they should make the first move, initiate sex, decide the pace, flip the positions, and carry the weight of performance. But deep down, there's a part of every man that longs to surrender, to let go, to have a woman climb on top, pin his wrists, whisper in his ear, and take what she wants from him. He may never say it because he's afraid of looking weak, but when you take control, even just for a few minutes, you unlock something wild in him. You flip the script. Suddenly, he feels like the hunted, not the hunter. And men love that more than they'll ever admit. It makes him feel desired, wanted, consumed by your passion. It doesn't have to be complicated. Push him back on the bed and straddle him. Hold his hands down and lean close enough to let your breath tease his ear. Tell him, tonight, you're mine. That alone will drive him insane, because in that moment, you've tapped into a fantasy he's probably never told anyone about, that intoxicating rush of giving up control to someone who knows exactly how to use it. 2, whisper the filthy words he's dying to hear. Men aren't just visual creatures, they're auditory too. And while they might pretend they don't need the words, the truth is dirty talk is one of the most powerful triggers you can use. But here's the thing, he won't ask for it. He won't look at you and say, "Babe, can you please say the naughtiest thing you can think of right now?" No way. He'll hope for it. He'll fantasize about it, but he'll keep quiet. Why? Because men fear rejection in the bedroom more than anywhere else. The last thing he wants is to admit he craves hearing you talk dirty and then see you laugh, roll your eyes, or feel awkward. So he keeps his mouth shut. But if you lean in during sex and whisper something filthy, something bold and unfiltered, you'll watch him transform in seconds. You don't have to be extreme. Start with subtle phrases. "You feel so good inside me," or "I love watching you lose control." Say his name, tell him how much you want him, or describe what you're going to do next. As your confidence grows, you can get dirtier. The point isn't the exact words, it's that you're giving voice to the raw desire that's already burning between you. When you speak it out loud, you amplify it tenfold. And here's the kicker: dirty talk doesn't just turn him on, it frees him. It gives him permission to be more vocal, more primal, more uninhibited. It takes the brakes off his desire, and suddenly you're both spiraling into a level of passion that feels unstoppable. 3, tease him until he's begging. This one's universal, but men rarely confess it. They love being teased to the edge. They fantasize about you being playful, holding back, making them wait, and watching them squirm with anticipation. But they won't admit it, because men are taught to always want things fast and direct. They don't want to look weak. By saying, "Please tease me, make me beg." But here's the truth: men adore it when you take your time, when you run your hands down his body, but stop just before his most sensitive spots. When you kiss down his chest, pausing just above his waistband. When you slide against him during foreplay, but deny him the full release for just a little longer. That teasing tension is pure electricity. Why does it work? Because desire lives in anticipation. When you make him wait, when you push him to the brink, you create an ache inside him that only you can satisfy. And when you finally give in, when you finally let him have all of you, it feels like an explosion he'll never forget. So don't rush, tease. Linger. Make him feel the delicious agony of wanting you so badly he can't think straight. That's not cruelty, it's seduction. And it's something he secretly craves more than he'll ever tell you. We've already uncovered 3 dirty little truths men keep buried: their secret desire for you to take control, their hidden craving for filthy words, and their weakness for teasing. And I promise you this, once you start experimenting with even one of those, you'll see a side of him you've never seen before. But we're only halfway through. Let's go deeper, because there are 3 more secrets men hide when it comes to what they really want in bed. And remember, when I say dirty, I don't mean cheap, vulgar, or degrading. I mean primal. I mean the things that connect straight to the body, bypassing the mind and unlocking the raw, unfiltered passion that most men are too afraid to express. These next 3, they're even more revealing. 4, scratch, bite, and mark him. Here's the thing about men. They want to feel your passion. They want to feel your hunger. They want to know that their body turns you into something animalistic, something unrestrained. But they'll rarely admit it. Why? Because men are raised to think they're the aggressors, the ones who are supposed to show physical intensity. They don't want to risk asking for it and being told, that's too rough, that's not sexy. But secretly, he craves it when you let yourself go, when your nails dig into his back, when your teeth graze his shoulder, when your hands grip his hair like you can't get enough of him. That intensity sends a message louder than words. I want you so badly, I can't hold back. Do you know what that does to him? It makes him feel desired in a way that penetrates deeper than any compliment ever could, because compliments can sometimes feel polite, even practiced. But when your body leaves marks on him, when he wakes up the next morning and sees scratches on his chest or a faint bite on his shoulder, it's proof that you lost yourself in him, proof that you wanted him so badly, your body couldn't contain it. That's why he won't ask, but why he secretly hopes you'll do it. Because nothing makes a man feel sexier, stronger, and more irresistible than knowing he was able to pull that primal hunger out of you. 5, surprise him with bold moves. Let me tell you a secret about men: they adore being surprised. In fact, one of the dirtiest fantasies most men have is of a woman suddenly flipping the script, doing something unexpected, something bold, something that makes him go, oh my God, where did that come from? But he won't say this out loud, because asking for surprises kills the surprise, doesn't it? He won't say, babe, I wish you'd sometimes shock me in bed, because then he sounds needy or ungrateful. Instead, he'll silently crave it and hope you one day take the initiative. It could be as simple as waking him up with your body already on his. It could be changing positions before he expects it. It could be slipping into lingerie he's never seen before, blindfolding him, or pulling out a toy without warning. You don't have to go extreme. Sometimes the smallest unexpected move sends the biggest shockwave. Why does it matter so much? Because routine kills desire. When sex becomes predictable, the thrill fades. But when you surprise him, you reignite the spark of the unknown. You bring back that feeling of unpredictability that men and women are addicted to in the early stages of attraction. Men love being caught off guard in bed because it keeps them on their toes. It makes them feel like you're still invested, still playful, still as wild as the first time you were together. And more than that, it makes him feel chosen, because when you plan to surprise him, it tells him you thought about him, you cared enough to break the routine and create excitement. That's not just sex, that's intimacy disguised as play. 6, worship his pleasure zones without him asking. Here's the final dirty secret, and it's the one that men almost never say out loud. They want you to worship their body the way they worship yours. Most men are conditioned to be the giver in bed. They're expected to go down on you, touch you everywhere, focus on your pleasure, make sure you're satisfied, and many men love doing that. But deep down, they're also dying for that same energy in return. He won't admit it because he doesn't want to seem selfish. He doesn't want to risk being called out for always thinking about himself. But I guarantee you, if you ever take the initiative to focus entirely on his pleasure without him asking, it'll light him up in ways he'll never forget. Whether it's giving him oral and taking your time with it, massaging him in places he didn't even realize he craved, or exploring his body with the same curiosity he shows yours, what you're saying in that moment is, you deserve this. I want to make you feel as good as you make me feel. And here's what makes it dirty. It's about worship. It's about flipping the script and showing him that his body isn't just functional, it's worthy of being adored, teased, devoured. When you do this, he'll never say it out loud, but inside he's thinking, This is heaven. This is everything I've ever wanted but never dared to ask for. Now, I want you to notice something important. All 6 of these desires control dirty talk, teasing, scratching and marking, surprising him, and worshipping him. They all have one thing in common: vulnerability. They are the things he craves, but doesn't say, because admitting them would feel like admitting weakness. And yet, when you bring them to life, you don't just turn him on, you build trust, you build intimacy, you create a space where he feels safe to let his guard down, safe to be fully himself, safe to go deeper with you than he could with anyone else. That's why this isn't just about dirty tricks. This is about emotional connection through physical passion. When you tap into the secrets he doesn't say out loud, you're not just satisfying his body, you're connecting with his soul. And here's the beautiful part: when you give him permission to be vulnerable, when you show him that you can handle the things he's too scared to voice, you become unforgettable. You're not just another partner, you're the one who gave him freedom. And men will do anything to keep the woman who gives them that kind of freedom. We've revealed the 6 dirty things men secretly crave in bed, but don't have the courage to say out loud. By now, you should already feel the shift in perspective, because this isn't just about tricks or bedroom techniques. This is about unlocking a man's deepest, the most vulnerable desires, the parts of him that he hides even from himself sometimes. Let's quickly recap before we go deeper. He secretly wants you to take control, to flip the power dynamic and show him that you can own the moment. He secretly wants you to whisper filthy words, to give voice to the heat he's feeling but doesn't dare speak. He secretly wants you to tease him until he's begging, because desire lives in anticipation. He secretly wants you to scratch, bite and mark him, to feel your passion branded on his skin. He secretly wants you to surprise him with bold moves, to keep the spark alive with unpredictability. And he secretly wants you to worship his body without him asking, to feel adored and chosen the way he tries to make you feel. When you look at this list, you might think, okay, these are just sexual techniques, but they're not. They're windows into something much bigger, because each of these desires speaks to a man's deeper need to feel wanted, to feel safe, to feel free, and to feel completely alive with you. And here's where the real transformation happens, not just for him, but for you. Because when you begin to see sex not as a performance, not as a routine, but as an art form where your confidence and playfulness can run wild, something incredible shifts inside of you. You stop worrying about being good enough in bed, and you start realizing you already are more than enough. Most women go through their intimate lives thinking they have to live up to some mythical standard, that men want porn star moves, flawless bodies, and endless stamina. But the truth is far simpler. What men really want is to feel your desire for them. They want to feel that you're not just letting sex happen, you're choosing it, you're embracing it, you're diving into it with as much hunger as they are. That's why the 6 dirty things are so powerful. They're not about being perfect. They're about being real. They're about showing him your passion, your playfulness, your willingness to explore. They're about stepping into your own sexual power, not shrinking away from it. Now, let's talk about why men don't say these things out loud, because understanding the why gives you the real advantage. Men are raised with 2 constant pressures: to be strong and in control, to not appear too needy. So when it comes to sex, most men carry a silent burden. They think, I have to lead, I have to satisfy her, I have to perform. And while they might be dying inside to say, God, I wish she would pin me down, whisper the dirtiest thing in my ear and scratch her nails down my back, they'll stay quiet. Because admitting that makes them feel like they're breaking the rules of masculinity. But here's the irony. When a man finds a woman who intuitively understands these things, who can take control, tease, surprise, and worship him, he doesn't feel emasculated. He feels liberated. Because you're giving him permission to let go. You're showing him that he doesn't always have to be the one in charge. You're creating a space where he doesn't have to perform. He can just be. And that is intoxicating. That is addictive. That is the kind of intimacy that bonds him to you in a way he won't find anywhere else. But let's flip the lens back onto you, because this speech isn't just about what men want. It's about how you can use this knowledge to transform your confidence in bed. Think about it. Every single one of these 6 things requires you to step into your power. Taking control means you believe in your own authority. Whispering dirty words means you trust your voice. Teasing him means you're comfortable holding the tension without fear. Scratching and biting means you're unafraid of showing unfiltered passion. Surprising him means you've embraced your creativity. Worshipping him means you've let go of the idea that giving is weakness, and instead you see it as a strength. Do you see what's happening here? These aren't just his dirty desires, they're your tools for transformation. They're ways for you to step into the most confident, irresistible version of yourself. Because the truth is, sexual confidence isn't about knowing every trick in the book. It's about daring to show up with your whole self, your hunger, your passion, your playfulness, your power. When you do that, you don't just give him what he wants. You give yourself what you deserve: freedom. Freedom from overthinking. Freedom from insecurity. Freedom from the voice in your head that says, am I sexy enough? Am I doing it right? When you scratch his back so hard he gasps. When you whisper something filthy and he loses control. When you make him beg. When you shock him with a surprise. What you're really saying is, I am unapologetically sexy. I am allowed to want. I am allowed to take. I am allowed to be bold. And that, my friend, is the sexiest thing you can ever bring into the bedroom. Now, here's the call to action, because information without action is just noise. I don't want you to just listen to this and think, wow, that was interesting. I want you to act tonight, this week. The next time you're with him, pick one of these 6 dirty secrets and try it. Just one. It doesn't matter which. Take control for a moment, whisper something filthy, tease him until he's begging, scratch his back, surprise him, worship him. Do one of them and watch what happens. Watch how his eyes widen. Watch how his body reacts. Watch how the energy between you shifts instantly. That's the proof. That's the confirmation that these aren't just theories, they're truths. They work. And the more you play with them, the more confident you'll become and the more obsessed with you he'll be. And don't stop there. Make it a habit to explore, to experiment, to surprise both him and yourself. Because sex isn't meant to be a chore or a checklist. It's meant to be alive. And the more alive you are in it, the more unforgettable you become to him. Here's the final thought I want to leave you with. Men might keep their dirty desires locked away, but you hold the key. And when you unlock those doors, you don't just give him pleasure, you give him freedom. You give him a space where he can be himself, where he can let go, where he can feel safe, desired, and alive. That's not just sex, that's intimacy, that's connection. That's the foundation of a bond that lasts long after the bedroom lights go out. So be bold, be playful, be unapologetically dirty in the ways that feel right to you. Because the woman who dares to go there, the woman who isn't afraid of exploring the fantasies he won't say out loud, is the woman who lives rent-free in his mind forever. And that woman, that can be you. Starting tonight, if this opened your eyes and made you smile even a little, then don't let this be the last time we talk. Hit that subscribe button right now, because every week I share the kind of truths about love, intimacy, and connection that no one else is willing to say out loud. And trust me, once you start hearing them, you'll never look at men, relationships, or even yourself the same way again. So subscribe and let's keep growing together.